They laughed when I said I was a millionaire. They laughed harder when I said I would hold more than $1 billion. At the time, I had $7.00 to my name. But I also had something they couldn't see. I had vision. The world calls it foolishness, this belief in the unseen. But every empire, every invention, every fortune began as a silent whisper within someone's mind. While they count dollars, I count certainty. While they chase proof, I embody the result. They laughed until the laughter turned into silence. I closed my eyes and saw what they could not. I lived each night in the end. I felt the richness of life long before the bank caught up. I walked with the posture of one who already held it, not because I was delusional, but because I knew the truth. Reality is not ahead of you. It is within you. What you accept as true becomes your world. So I stopped waiting for others to understand. I stopped trying to explain. I began to dwell in the experience of wealth, not in the outer world, but in my inner sanctuary. And what happened? $7.00 transformed. Not through hustle, not through worry, but through alignment. The inner world became so real that the outer world had no choice but to submit. Circumstances rearranged, people showed up, doors opened, and still they doubted. Still they mocked, until 1,200 million sat silently in my reality. Now they ask me, how did you do it? I didn't. I became it. You see, I didn't chase the money. I became the one who naturally holds it. I didn't beg reality. I authored it. The one who sees the end and believes in it more than what is, that one holds the secret. To you who are listening with $7 a cent, don't despise your seed. Wrap it in belief. Feed it with imagination. Assume it is already done. And when they laugh, smile. Because they are confirming what always happens before a miracle: disbelief. You let them laugh. Your only job is to believe so deeply that the world must yield. And when it does, when $7.00 becomes 1,200 million, they won't be laughing. You'll be asking how, and you will know. They laughed because they saw $7. They laughed because they saw emptiness where you saw vision. But what they never understood is this: the most powerful force in the world is not currency, not gold, not assets. It is the unseen seed of imagination planted in the soil of unwavering belief. The beginning of all greatness has always looked small, humble, even ridiculous to the outside world. But those beginnings are sacred, because within them lies the entire future in disguise. Imagination is the true capital. It is the origin of every skyscraper, every company, every song, every breakthrough. Before any of it could be seen, it had to be believed. You see, imagination is not childish fantasy. It is divine blueprint. It is the quiet architect behind every external structure. When you dare to imagine, not just as a wish, but as a reality already alive within you, you activate a law greater than logic. You move from hoping to knowing, and that knowing becomes substance. It becomes the mold from which life will take its shape. The $7.00, they are just a prop. They test you. They ask you if you will believe more in what is seen or in what is felt. Will you place your faith in the number in your bank account or in the image that burns within your consciousness? Because the ones who change their lives, the ones who rise and manifest and create miracles, they are not reacting to the outside world. They are responding only to what they have claimed within. The idea you hold, the one that seems impossible, foolish, too big for your surroundings, that idea is wealth. That idea is power, not when it arrives, not when others recognize it, but now, when it's quiet, when it's small, when it's hidden from the world and you are the only one who sees it. That is when it is most valuable, because your belief at that stage is purest, is not influenced by applause or results, is rooted in faith alone. Imagination in its early form is fragile, yes, but it is also sacred. You must protect it. Do not throw your pearls before those who will trample them, not because they are evil, only because they are blind. They cannot see what you see, and so they laugh. But your job is not to convert their doubt into belief. Your job is to guard the vision and water it daily, through feeling, through assumption, through disciplined thought. Your job is to dwell on the end of your desire as though it were already true. You do not need 100 steps. You need one, the step of inner conviction. Once you move into that place mentally, once you assume it and accept it as already done, the rest follows. It must. Because the outer world is a mirror, it reflects only what you hold within. You may not see results instantly, but delay is not denial. It is alignment, it is adjustment. It is preparation for the magnitude of what you have called forth. You began with $7, 0 cents, but the seed you carried was more potent than 1,000,000. Why? Because it had the power to multiply, to expand, to reach into unseen places and draw the resources, the connections, the timing needed to make it visible. What they called foolishness was in truth the first flicker of greatness. And now, as the seed blossoms, as it becomes undeniable, the laughter stops. Never underestimate your beginning. Never diminish your dream because of how it looks today. Imagination, held in faith, felt as real, is the origin of all abundance. It is the womb of reality, and when it is nurtured and believed in, the world cannot help but respond. They may laugh at your seed, but they will not laugh at your harvest. You are not here to convince the world of your vision. You are not here to beg others to see what you see. Your task is not to argue, explain, or seek validation. Your only responsibility is to know, to be so anchored in your inner conviction that the laughter, the doubt, and the disbelief of others become irrelevant. The world's perception, no matter how loud, holds no power unless you surrender your belief to it. Their doubt only has weight if you abandon your knowing. People will mock what they do not understand. They will ridicule what does not align with their limited perception of reality. But their reactions are not a reflection of truth. They are merely reflections of their own mental confinement. When you speak of abundance while living in lack, they call it delusion. When you declare yourself whole in the midst of brokenness, they label it denial. But what they do not know is that you have already crossed over internally. You have already accepted the fulfillment as real within your imagination. And that is the only place creation ever begins. You are not obligated to explain how or why you believe what you believe. You don't need permission to imagine a greater life. When you see the outcome clearly in your mind and feel it is already true in your heart, that is enough. It is more than enough. For the power that brings things into form does not respond to external agreement. It responds to internal certainty. It responds to your assumption. Convincing others is the path of the uncertain. Those who are unsure need others to approve, to echo their belief, to build a consensus. But when you know, truly know, you are no longer moved by the noise. You are no longer shaken by delay or rejection or the scoffing of those who live by appearances. Knowing is a quiet power. It does not need to shout. It does not need applause. It stands still while the world spins around it, unmoved, unbothered. Your knowing is the foundation. It is the invisible root from which all visible things will grow. That is why the world cannot interfere unless you let it in, unless you listen to their doubt more than your own vision, unless you begin to question the very thing you once knew. That is the only danger. not that they mock you, but that you start believing them. You must hold your vision with sacred care. Protect it not with force, but with silence. Let them wonder, let them laugh, let them dismiss you as unrealistic. What matters is that you do not dismiss yourself. Do not explain your dream to those who are committed to misunderstanding it. Do not water down your vision to fit the comfort of others. Greatness is not born from collective agreement. It is born from solitary belief. So remain still. Keep your focus. When the world says, "Show me," you respond inwardly, "I already know." For all things come from within. The seed planted in imagination, nurtured by faith and protected by inner conviction, will always bloom, no matter how long it takes. And when it does, when the harvest arrives, they will no longer question you. They will no longer laugh. But by then, it won't matter. Because you didn't manifest it to prove them wrong. You manifested it because you knew it was already yours. So walk in quiet power. Stop explaining. Stop convincing. You were never meant to be understood. You were meant to know. And in knowing, you create. It was never about the $7.00. It was never about what was in your pocket, your bank account, or your surroundings. The world wants you to believe that circumstances dictate your destiny, that what you see and touch is the only truth. But the real path, the only path, is carved by assumption. Not by effort alone, not by external evidence, but by the inner state you dare to occupy. It is not your environment that creates your future. It is the assumption that your desire is already fulfilled. Assumption is not a wish. It is not a fleeting hope. It is a state of being. It is the deliberate inner acceptance of your desire as already true. When you assume the wish fulfilled, you shift your identity, not just your thoughts. You don't just think about having what you want. You live as though it is already yours. That is the secret. That is the foundation upon which all creation is built. The world may see $7.00 and call it lack. But the one who assumes abundance, who sees the vision completed and feels it as real, is already rich. Not in numbers, but in consciousness. And consciousness is the only true cause. It is not about hustling to change the outer. It is about aligning your inner world so completely with your desire that the outer must conform. The bridge of incidents, the chain of events, the so-called luck and opportunities, all of that begins only after you have assumed the end. You don't need the full map. You don't need all the answers. You need only one thing to dwell in the end. See it, feel it, rest in it. That is where your power lies. Your current circumstances are not a sentence. They are a shadow, a reflection of your past state. They are not permanent. They do not define you. What defines you is the state you occupy now. Assume the end, not as a question but as a fact. Live in that state even when nothing around you agrees with it, especially when nothing agrees with it. Because that is the true test of faith. Not to believe when it's easy, but to believe when it makes no sense. To wake up and smile not because you see the physical results, but because within you know it's done. You are not waiting for the world to change so you can feel better. You change your feeling and the world must follow. It is law, it is order. You shift the inner and the outer rearranges. That's why it was never about the $7.00. That number didn't limit you. What would have limited you was accepting the $7.00 as your truth. But you didn't. You saw the end. You lived in the state of the fulfilled desire. And that made all the difference. Assumption creates the path. It summons what you need. It moves mountains without effort. But it requires consistency. You cannot dip in and out of belief and expect steady results. You must become the version of yourself who already has what you desire. That means thinking, acting, and feeling from that place before it shows up, before it materializes. Do not let circumstances deceive you. They are echoes, not cause. The moment you shift within, the path begins to unfold, sometimes subtly, sometimes dramatically, but always faithfully. Life is responding to your assumption, not your effort. The ones who understand this no longer panic in the presence of small numbers, empty rooms, or uncertain moments. They have seen the end, and in seeing it, they have called it into being. So assume wisely, assume boldly, assume consistently. The world bends to your assumption, not the other way around. Ignore the evidence. Ignore the numbers, the silence, the closed doors. Ignore the delay, the rejection, and the things that seem to contradict your desire. None of it matters. What you see is not the truth, unless you choose to make it so. What matters is what you feel consistently within. The world is simply a mirror reflecting back to you the state of consciousness you have occupied over time. It is not punishment, and it is not permanent. It is the delayed echo of who you were, not a prophecy of who you are becoming. You must train yourself to live in the outcome, not in the appearance. The outcome you long for already exists, and it waits only for your alignment. The moment you persist in feeling the end, it begins to move toward you, not because the world changes by itself, but because you have changed. And when you change within, the outer must follow. It is not magic, it is law. To live in the outcome is to feel the joy now, to move as though it has already happened, to respond to life as if the door is already open. That is the greatest secret. Feeling creates the future. Not words, not effort, not logic. Feeling. If you feel lack, the world will reflect lack. If you feel abundance, abundance must find you. It may take time, but it cannot fail. The challenge is not in creating. You are always creating. The challenge is in believing, despite the delay. Reality is not immediate. It takes time to rearrange, to conform to the new state you have claimed. That's why many give up. They shift their state for a moment, feel the joy briefly, but then the outer doesn't move fast enough. So they panic, revert, and the mirror reflects the doubt all over again. You must hold firm. You must live from the end until the world catches up. It is not your job to know how it will come. It is only your task to remain faithful to the vision. The how is none of your concern. The when is not your burden. The inner work is your only assignment. Persist in the feeling, stay loyal to the outcome, and no matter how contradictory the outer world becomes, keep living from the truth you have claimed. When others ask you where it is, why it hasn't come, or whether you're being realistic, smile. Because you know the truth, you know that reality is just catching up to who you've already become inside. Their questions come from sight, but you are living from insight. Their eyes see delay, yours see fulfillment. So ignore the evidence. Ignore the seeming lack. Ignore the noise. It is only old data playing out. Don't feed it with your attention. Don't energize it with worry. Instead, go back to the feeling. Go back to the end. Ask yourself, how would I feel if it were already done? And then live in that feeling. Dwell in it. Marinate in it. Let it become your new norm. For what you persist in feeling, you will eventually hold. It is law. The world may seem slow, but it is faithful. Stay in the state, and the outcome must appear. The longer you dwell in the fulfillment, the shorter the delay. because nothing can resist a consciousness that refuses to accept anything less than what it has already claimed. Success is not something you chase, it is something you embody. It is not out there waiting to be found through toil or relentless action. It is within, waiting to be awakened by a shift in identity. You do not become successful by effort alone. You become successful by assuming the identity of one who already is. The moment you change your self-concept, the world begins to respond. Not eventually, immediately, though the results may unfold over time. Everything begins with who you believe you are. You cannot act your way into lasting success if you continue to think like someone who is still trying. Trying only reinforces that you have not yet arrived. But being, simply assuming the role, the posture, the mindset, creates the inner foundation from which all outer success flows. The one who sees themselves as a success will find confirmation of that identity, even if the outer world has yet to catch up. It is not about the applause, it is about the knowing. Change your self-concept and you change your world. The man or woman who carries themselves with the certainty of success alters every interaction, every decision, every response. Doors open because their presence speaks louder than their resume. Opportunities appear because they no longer beg or chase. They magnetize. Not through manipulation, but through identity. People respond to who you are being, not just what you say or do. This is not pretending. It is not arrogance or delusion. It is alignment. To embody success is to agree with the highest vision of yourself. It is to stop arguing for your limitations, to stop waiting for permission, and to stop letting your past dictate your worth. You are not what you have done, and you are what you assume yourself to be right now. And assumption, not effort, is what shapes destiny. Effort alone can exhaust you. It can leave you spinning in circles, doing more but becoming no one new. Identity requires no struggle. The moment you see yourself differently, you begin to feel differently. You speak differently. You walk into a room differently. Not because someone told you to, but because that's what flows naturally from a new self-image. And the world has no choice but to reflect it. So stop chasing, stop running after what you believe is missing. Nothing is missing. Only the recognition of who you already are is missing. Begin within. Declare yourself successful, not someday, but now. Not when the numbers come, not when others approve, but now, in this moment. Let it become your inner atmosphere. Let it settle into your body, and from that place, move. When you act from your true identity, the action is inspired, not forced. It is joyful, not desperate. You no longer ask, will this work? Because you are no longer trying to become, you are. And all you do flows from that inner certainty. Success is not a result. It is a vibration. It is a state of being. And when you step into that state, reality will conform. People, opportunities, and circumstances will shift, not because they changed, but because you did. The mirror reflects the face you show it. So look again, not at what is, but at who you truly are. Begin living as that version of you now. Think the thoughts they would think. Feel the emotions they would feel. Make the decisions they would make. And do it without waiting for evidence. The evidence will follow because it must. Success is not a destination, it is an identity. Claim it, embody it, and watch as everything aligns. They laughed because they could not see, not because your vision was wrong, but because it was invisible. You spoke of wealth while holding nothing. You moved in confidence while reality seemed barren. You stood tall while others looked down. And so they laughed, not because they were evil, but because they were blind. They could only see with the outer eye, and your future had not yet materialized. But you were not living by sight. You were walking by inner conviction. And that is a power no man can touch. What they fail to understand is this: belief is creation. The moment you assume the end, you give it life. It may be unseen, but it is real. The outer world only echoes the past, the inner state you once held. The new state, the one you've chosen in silence and solitude, is forming even as they mock. You don't owe them an explanation. You don't need to plead your case or prove your potential. The seed planted in imagination, nourished by faith, will bloom in plain sight. And when it does, the laughter will turn into silence. Not because you fought back, but because reality bowed to your belief. They laughed at your $7.00, at your small beginnings, your quiet persistence, your refusal to give up. They laughed because they could not hear what you were hearing in the silence, the whisper of your fulfilled desire. They saw you as foolish, naive, unrealistic. But you knew something they didn't. You knew that nothing in this world is more powerful than an idea claimed with conviction. You knew that the invisible shapes the visible. That assumption leads, and manifestation follows. You did not need their applause. You did not seek their understanding. You simply continued to live. In the end, you became the one who already had it. You walked with the energy of fulfillment, and the world, though slow, could not resist. The same people who laughed will one day ask how you did it. They will marvel at your success, unaware that you did not chase it, you became it. You aligned your inner world with the outcome, and the outer world was forced to follow. This is the quiet revenge of the faithful, not to shout, not to argue, but to become. To let your manifestation speak louder than any defense. You never needed to convince them. You only needed to remain convinced yourself. That was the battle. Not against others, but against the urge to doubt. The temptation to look around and let the outer determine your inner state. But you didn't. You kept your eyes inward. You remained in the state. And that faith made you unstoppable. Let them laugh. Let them doubt. Let them dismiss what they cannot see. Because every moment you persist in the feeling of the wish fulfilled, you are creating a world they will one day have to believe in. The stage is being set, the pieces are moving, and when it arrives, when the promise becomes form, it will be undeniable. The laughter will stop, not because you silenced them, but because reality did. They will have no choice but to acknowledge what once seemed absurd. So hold your vision. Cherish your dream. Trust the unseen. You are not mad for believing. You are not delusional for living in the end. You are a creator, silent, sure, and sovereign. And soon the world will reflect what you've always known, not because it finally allowed you, but because you never needed its permission. You only needed your belief. And that belief, unshaken and undeterred, will do what no argument ever could. It will manifest. And when it does, the world will bow, not to your words, not to your efforts, but to the invisible force that made it all real, your unwavering assumption. The world will always mock what it cannot see. It will laugh at your beginnings, question your silence, and doubt your certainty. But you were never meant to convince the world, only to know. For it is not effort nor circumstance, nor external approval that manifests your desire. It is the inner assumption, the quiet alignment with the outcome, the unwavering belief in the invisible that brings the impossible into form. It was never about $7.00. It was always about seeing beyond what is, about ignoring the evidence and living in the outcome, about knowing that success is not something you chase, it is something you become. You hold the power not by what you do, but by who you assume yourself to be. Let them laugh, let them misunderstand. In time, they will witness what your inner vision always knew, because manifestation does not ask for permission. It flows to the one who dares to believe it already is. Thank you for listening. Thank you for believing in the power within. Your time is not coming. It is already here. Now, walk in it. There is a sacred moment, not seen by the outer world, that arrives just before your reality shifts. It is not loud. It does not announce itself, but you feel it. It is the stillness, the quiet pause before the curtain opens and the scene changes. It often appears as stagnation, confusion, or nothingness. The world seems slower, duller, even unkind. But this is not a step back. It is the rearranging of the visible to match the invisible. You may begin to feel strangely calm. The old desire that once made your heart race now rests gently within you. It no longer claws at you, it no longer whispers fear. Why? Because you have become it. You no longer chase, you contain. You do not need it, you are it. And then imagination takes the lead. You walk through the day, but your truest life happens within. You see it, hear it, touch it in your mind, and it feels more real than what the eyes reveal. That is not delusion, that is creation. The unseen is being etched into form. Then the world begins to echo. You hear a name, you see a number, a phrase repeats, a stranger says what you just imagined the night before. This is not coincidence, it is confirmation. These are the early ripples of what is about to unfold. Even the people around you shift. They treat you differently. They speak in ways that support your new identity. Not because they changed, but because you did. They are actors in the dream you command. You are not waiting for the world is waiting for you. And then it happens. There comes a moment where you are asked to surrender, to drop the weight of watching, to let go, not in despair, but in trust. This is the last step, the moment before the manifestation. It will feel like letting go of control. And in that very surrender, the bridge is crossed. The seed becomes a flower, and what you once imagined now breathes before you. You may begin to sense that everything around you is slowing down. What once moved quickly now seems to halt. Opportunities dry up. People become distant. The pace of your life feels like it has entered a kind of stillness. At first, this may seem discouraging, even frightening. You might think something is going wrong or that you've made a mistake. But in truth, this is a sacred sign. This apparent pause is not punishment. It is preparation. When the physical world seems to grow silent, what is truly happening is the final alignment between your inner world and the outer. You have shifted internally. You have imagined, persisted, believed, and now the outer world must adjust. It must by law conform to your new state of being. But the material realm is dense and slow. It does not change instantly. It responds with a delay. So, when your soul has shifted to a higher state, and the outer still looks the same, there will be a strange stillness, an awkward silence, a space between the letting go and the becoming. Do not misinterpret this delay. It is not the absence of results. It is the process of manifestation. You are not being ignored by life. You are being positioned. This stillness is the space in which the old dissolves and the new is born. The confusion you may feel is the mind trying to make sense of something the heart already understands. That's why you feel in between two worlds. Because you are. The bridge of transition is not always visible. Often you must walk it with faith, not sight. In this slow period, the best thing you can do is rest in knowing. Do not fight the quiet. Do not force movement. This is the moment to become still yourself, to trust what is unfolding in the unseen. If you planted the seed in imagination, if you persisted in the state of the wish fulfilled, then this slowing down is the natural pause before the bloom. Imagine a bow being drawn back before it releases an arrow. The tension is not resistance, it is power building. The stillness before manifestation is that same tension. You are being drawn into alignment. You are being held, readied, and aimed. The direction is set, and once the pressure releases, all that you imagine will come flying into your reality. Be still, let it come. Do not rush the unfolding. When the world slows you, speed up, not in motion, but in transformation. You are not being delayed, you are being made ready. That stillness you feel, it is sacred. It is the moment before the miracle. There comes a moment on your journey where the need, the longing, the urgency simply fades away. It's not that you stop caring about your desire, far from it. You still love the vision you hold. But something inside you shifts. You no longer need it to feel whole, complete, or secure. And in that very release, peace enters, where desperation once lived. This peace isn't forced. It's not pretending or repressing. It is a natural byproduct of alignment. When you are desperate, you are not truly in the state of having. You are in the state of lack. The feeling of needing something to happen, of anxiously waiting, hoping, questioning, is the very signal that you have not yet become one with the desire. But the moment you truly accept that it is already yours, that it is done, something incredible happens. You relax. You breathe easier. You stop trying to make things happen, and you start allowing. This emotional shift is not weakness. It is power. The old self panics. The new self trusts. You're no longer reacting to appearances or chasing outcomes. You have assumed the truth of your desire's existence. You felt it real within. You've worn it like a garment in your imagination. And now, because you know who you are, the need to prove or push dissolves. Peace is proof of alignment. It means you're no longer fighting reality, you're creating it. You've stepped out of the waiting room and into the room of embodiment. And from this calm place, your world begins to respond differently. People, situations, and opportunities come not because you begged or chased, but because your new state draws them in. You see, the outer world is not the cause, it is the effect. The cause is always consciousness. And when your inner world is at peace, settled, and sure, the outer must mirror that. This is why manifestation often happens after you stop obsessing, stop checking, stop clinging. You didn't give up on the desire, you gave up on the resistance to it. You surrendered the illusion of control and entered the knowing of creation. Many misunderstand detachment. They think it means not caring. But true detachment is confidence, not apathy. It says, I know it's done, so I don't need to grab at it. It's like placing an order and knowing it will arrive. You don't stare at the door all day. You go about your life in peace because you trust the process. This emotional shift, from wanting to knowing, from grasping to resting, is one of the final signs that your manifestation is near. It is the evidence that you are no longer hoping. You are being. You have stopped living in the future and started living in the fulfillment. And now, because the inner world is calm, the outer world will bring the reflection. Peace is the final signal. It whispers, you have arrived. There comes a point in your spiritual journey where what you see with the inner eye becomes more alive than anything around you. The physical world, with all its noise and movement, begins to feel secondary, like an echo of something deeper. Your imagination, once treated like fantasy, now takes its rightful place as the birthplace of reality. The scenes you create within are no longer wishful thinking. They are your new foundation, more stable and more vivid than the outer facts. This is not escapism, it is awakening. The senses tell you what was, the imagination tells you what is becoming. When you close your eyes and step into your desire as though it were already true, something miraculous happens. The scene feels more familiar than the one your eyes see. The texture of your imagined world holds weight. It breathes. You can feel the chair you sit on, the air you breathe, the smile on your face, all within. You taste the result before it appears. That is not fantasy, that is alignment. When you imagine with clarity and emotion, you are not daydreaming, you are creating. You are rehearsing the state you are becoming. And the more you return to it, the more natural it feels. Eventually it becomes so real to you inwardly that the outer world loses its hold. You stop reacting to facts, and you start responding to truth, your inner truth. In this state, hope fades away. Not because you no longer care, but because hope is replaced by certainty. You don't hope the sun will rise, you know it will. Likewise, you no longer hope your desire will manifest, you know it is done. The vision you hold isn't something you're reaching for, it's something you're resting in. It is yours. It has already been received inwardly, and now you simply allow the outer to catch up. This is the moment where many miracles begin. Because your inner world is no longer a vague idea, it is a complete experience. And since the world must reflect your dominant state, it begins to shape itself around your inner knowing. Events, people, circumstances, all rearrange quietly, silently, to match the version of reality you've been living inside. It may feel strange to others, as if you're detached or distant, but you are not drifting. You are dwelling. You are more present than ever, just not in the visible scene. You are present in the unseen, where the real work is done. Your imagination becomes your home. You return to it not just in moments of practice, but throughout the day. It becomes the backdrop of your thoughts, the rhythm of your heartbeat. And when this happens, you no longer need to force or control. You've already created, you've already received. What the world sees as nothing, you now recognize as everything. Not because you no longer believe it, you know it. There is a quiet yet unmistakable shift that happens as you draw closer to the fulfillment of your desire. You begin to notice the world whispering to you. A song plays that mentions exactly what you've been imagining. You overhear a stranger say the phrase that has been echoing in your heart. A number appears over and over on receipts, clocks, license plates. And somehow you know it's not coincident. These are not random events. They are reflections. They are the reverberations of your inner world, rippling through the outer. Signs that your consciousness is becoming dominant. As you align more fully with your desired state, the subconscious begins to project that new truth into the screen of space. You may think you are noticing more, but what's truly happening is that the world is responding to you. These synchronicities are not magic, they are mechanics. They are the inevitable result of your shift in identity. You're not just thinking about your desire, you have assumed it. You are not wishing for a change, you have become it. The signs around you are echoes of your inner conversations, your inner assumptions, your quiet moments of imagining. They are reflections in the mirror of life, showing you what you are now embodying. Repeated numbers, dreams with deep symbolism, people mentioning the very thing you've been contemplating. All are part of the feedback loop between you and your reality. At first, it feels subtle. a gentle nudge, a wink from the universe. But as your conviction deepens, so do the signs. They multiply. You begin to laugh because it's so precise, so aligned, that it cannot be denied. You're not looking for them, they're finding you, because you've moved into a new state of being. And that state demands confirmation. But the purpose of these synchronicities is not to convince you, it's to affirm what you already know. They are reminders that you've shifted, that the unseen is beginning to crystallize into form. They say, keep going, stay the course, it's working. They are not the manifestation itself, but they are the whispers before the shout. And here is where you must stay grounded. Do not chase signs. Do not become addicted to them. Let them come, appreciate them, and return to your inner world. For it is within that the real power lies. The signs are secondary. Your state is primary. When you make your inner state your home, the signs are simply proof that you live there. In time, the synchronicities become so frequent, so personal, that you begin to trust deeply, not in the signs, but in yourself. You realize that your world is not separate from you. It is you, pushed out. And now, the world is beginning to speak your language. What once felt like chance now feels like certainty. The outer reflects the inner, faithfully, fully. And the echo is getting louder. As you begin to occupy the new version of yourself, not just occasionally, but as a sustained state of being, something extraordinary and subtle begins to unfold. The people around you change. But it's not because they have changed. It's because you have. They begin to treat you differently, respond to you in ways that feel aligned with your inner shift, and suddenly speak words or offer gestures that seem to confirm the very identity you've been living within. This is not manipulation, it is reflection. The world has no choice but to show you who you are being. You see, your world is not separate from your consciousness. The people in your life, your friends, family, co-workers, even strangers, are not independent actors. They are participants in the drama of your assumption. When you change your concept of self, they begin to take on roles that match that concept. Where once you were overlooked, now you are noticed. Where once conversations were filled with fear or doubt, now they echo confidence, opportunity, and alignment. They are reflecting you, the new you, without even realizing. This is the beautiful precision of reality. You don't need to force others to act differently. You don't need to convince, persuade, or announce your transformation. You simply dwell in it, quietly, faithfully. And then the world responds. It must, because the outer world is not the cause of your experience. It is the mirror. And once the image in the mirror changes, the reflection cannot remain the same. Opportunities you once longed for begin to come toward you. People who doubted your worth now praise you. Those who once ignored your light now feel drawn to it. None of this is accidental. It is all born of your new self-concept. And even if someone from your past reappears, you will find them responding to you differently. Not because they are new, but because you are. This is why inner work is never wasted. Though the outer may appear unchanged at first, it is always shifting, always moving to catch up with your dominant state, and people being part of your world cannot help but comply. Their words, their actions, their energy all begin to confirm the reality you've been living internally. They reflect your beliefs, your assumptions, and your feelings back to you with uncanny accuracy. This reflection does not just affirm that change is happening, it affirms that it has already happened. The moment others begin to mirror your new self, you are witnessing the fulfillment of the inner transformation. It means the shift has taken root and is now bearing fruit. You no longer need their validation, and that is why it comes. You've become it, and so it must be seen. Your relationships begin to feel more aligned. You attract conversations that nourish you. You're offered chances to grow, lead, shine, not because others have decided to see you differently, but because you've decided to see yourself differently. And now the world agrees. There is a sacred moment, quiet and subtle, that arrives just before the manifestation appears. It is not marked by frantic effort or heightened intensity, but rather by stillness. A deep, undeniable urge rises within, the urge to surrender. It feels as though something old is dissolving, something worn and tight is being released. This is not weakness, it is not giving up, it is the final act of trust, the last breath before the birth. The soft, holy death of the former self. This moment cannot be forced. It arrives when your soul is ready. When you've imagined your desire so completely, so faithfully, that holding on to it becomes unnecessary. You no longer grasp at it, beg for it, or analyze its arrival. You are no longer asking when or how. Something within you simply whispers, "It is done." And with that, a calm descends. This calm is not indifference. It is sacred surrender. It is the knowing that the seed has been planted and the soil does not need to check its growth. You do not need to force the sun to shine. You do not need to dig it up and inspect it. You let it be. And so it is with manifestation. The moment you stop needing it is the moment you finally believe it. Not in words, but in your being. Surrender feels like peace, like unclenching a fist that has been tied for far too long. It feels like breathing again, like floating instead of swimming. You realize the old self, the one who feared, doubted, and tried to control every outcome, is no longer needed. That version of you has done its part. Now it must step aside for the new self to emerge. And so you let go. Not because you've lost hope, but because you've claimed something greater, faith. This letting go does not mean you forget your desire or deny it. It means you hold it differently, with grace instead of strain. You allow the outer world to do what it must, knowing the inner world has already declared it true. You do not chase, you do not reach, you receive. You live as though it has already come and therefore it must. It is in this moment of surrender that manifestation is closest, not always visible, not always obvious, but certain. You've aligned so deeply with the state of fulfillment that there is nothing left to do. No more striving, no more proving. You are no longer becoming, you are. And the irony, the mystery, is that this surrender often brings the desire swiftly into form, because your release signals readiness. The universe does not respond to desperation. It responds to embodiment. And surrender is the final form of embodiment. It says, I have it, I am it, I no longer need to hold on. And so it arrives. Quietly, perfectly, right on time. And so, when the signs begin to surround you, when stillness deepens, emotions soften, visions sharpen, synchronicities multiply, people shift, and surrender calls you inward. Know this: you are standing on the edge of manifestation. You are not waiting for it to come. It is waiting for you to see that it already has. Every outer movement is a reflection of the invisible shift within. What once seemed distant is now drawing breath through your imagination. What you assumed as real is now solidifying into form. This is the sacred unfolding of creation, not through force, but through awareness, faith, and embodiment. Trust the process. You do not need to chase, prove, or push. You only need to be. And in being, all things are added. Thank you for listening. May you walk with quiet confidence, knowing that what you seek is already yours. There was a moment in my life when everything seemed against me. Doors were closed, people doubted me, and even my own thoughts whispered failure. I chased, I pleaded, I prayed with desperation, but nothing changed. Until I stood still, took a breath, and said two words. I didn't say them casually. I didn't whisper them in weakness. I declared them, I let them rise from within me, not as a plea, but as a fact. And in that instant, something shifted, not outside me, but within me. And because the within changed, the outer had no choice but to follow. You see, these are not just words, they are the brush strokes of creation. They are the name of the divine in you. When you say, I am, you invoke the infinite power that has always been yours. But here's the secret. What you say after those words becomes your law. If you say, I am tired, life will match it. Say, I am not enough, and the world will reflect lack. But the day I said, I am worthy, I am powerful, the universe leaned in and answered, yes, you are. Everything began to respond. People changed, opportunities arrived uninvited, peace returned like a long-lost friend. Why? Because I had finally assumed the identity of the one who already had what I used to chase. There is no need to strive, plead, or push. The outer world only mirrors what you accept as true within. Your assumption, sustained by faith and emotion, becomes fact. The universe is not against you, it's obedient. It listens to the script you repeat daily. And when you declare with authority, I am abundance, I am health, I am love, you rewrite that script. So I tell you this. Stop asking, start assuming. Stop chasing, start claiming. The moment you stand tall and say, I am, with awareness and feeling, you align with the rhythm of creation. Two words, one shift, a new world. Now ask yourself, what are you saying after I am? Because that's exactly what you're becoming. I am. I am, two of the most sacred and powerful words in existence, not because of their grammatical significance, but because of the creative force they release when spoken with awareness. These words are not just sounds, they are declarations. They are keys that unlock the unseen. When you say, I am, you are not merely describing yourself, you are creating yourself. Everything in your life begins with what you place after those two words. Every condition, every experience, every outcome first took form when you said, I am, and followed it with a belief. Most people speak these words unconsciously, and that is where the trap lies. They say, I am tired, I am unlucky, I am not enough. And they wonder why their lives reflect weariness, misfortune, and lack. But they do not realize they have sown seeds with their own speech. And now they reap the harvest of those words. To say I am is to claim. It is to take possession. When you declare I am, you are selecting a state of being. And whatever you select becomes your experience, not by chance, not by the favor of others, but by law. The law that governs all creation, the law of consciousness, responds to the identity you assume. If you walk through life saying, I am unloved, life will not argue with you. It will organize itself to reflect your claim. But the moment you say, I am loved, and you feel the truth of it in your bones, the world begins to shift. That is the hidden power of these two words. They do not reflect the world, they create the world. Your world is not happening to you, It is happening through you. And the instrument of this creation is the inner speech you repeat daily, especially what you say with emotion and faith. But this is not mere repetition. This is not about saying positive words without feeling. The creative power of I am is unleashed when you say it with belief, when your heart agrees with your tongue. That is when the words become flesh. That is when the invisible becomes visible. The moment you say I am and truly mean it, you have stepped into the role of the author of your life. You are no longer a reactor, you are a creator. You are no longer at the mercy of circumstances. You are the source of new ones. You begin to understand that you don't need to ask the universe for permission. You don't need to convince anyone of your worth. You only need to know who you are and declare it. So look at your life, every part of it. Ask yourself what I am statements you've been using unconsciously. And if those statements no longer serve you, replace them. Choose again. Speak life, speak power, speak healing. Say, I am peace, I am joy, I am enough. And say it until the world bows in agreement. So the truth is simple. The moment you say I am, you are planting the seed. And what you plant with feeling, you will soon see with your eyes. Your inner conversation is the architect of your world. Every silent thought, every whispered phrase, every repetition of what you tell yourself after the words I am, builds the structure of your experience. People often believe their circumstances are shaped by luck, by chance, or by the will of others. But the truth lies within. Life is not responding to what you wish. Life is responding to what you assume, especially in the privacy of your mind. The words you speak aloud hold power, yes, but it is the inner dialogue, the unseen conversation, that carries the creative force. If you say to yourself, even silently, I am not good enough, you are setting the stage for a world that proves you right. Your subconscious mind does not judge or question what you feed it. It accepts your inner speech as truth and moves all things around you to reflect that belief. It brings people, events, and situations that echo your internal assumptions. The same happens when you say, I am always struggling, or I am not appreciated. These are not just words. They are seeds. And every seed grows after its own kind. But consider this. Just as negative self-talk creates limitation, deliberate and conscious inner speech can set you free. When you repeat, I am capable, I am abundant, I am loved, you are planting new seeds in the soil of your consciousness. These words, repeated often and believed deeply, begin to rearrange your life. They shift your perspective. They tune your energy. They summon a world that mirrors those new declarations. Most people are unaware that they are constantly speaking to themselves. The mind runs a silent monologue all day long, and most of that monologue is critical, doubtful, or fearful. They say, I am tired, I am broke, I am behind, without realizing that these declarations are shaping the events of tomorrow. But once you understand the creative nature of inner speech, you begin to take responsibility, you become mindful. You begin to watch your thoughts the way a gardener watches the soil, knowing that every idea is a seed and every feeling is water. This is not wishful thinking, this is law. Your world is nothing more than your assumptions made visible. You do not need to force change in the outer world, you only need to persist in a new inner conversation. And this persistence must be gentle, not strained. It is not a matter of trying hard, but of assuming quietly, confidently, and consistently. When you go to sleep at night, what are you saying to yourself? That final conversation before you drift off becomes the blueprint for your life. If you fall asleep repeating, I am successful, you begin to embody that identity, and life must reflect it. No one can hear your inner speech but you. And that is where your greatest power lies, in what you say when no one else is listening, because the universe is always listening. not to your public affirmations, but to your private convictions. It is your inner self-talk that forms the image, and that image becomes your world. You can look at your life today and trace every condition back to something you've repeatedly said to yourself, knowingly or unknowingly. So change the conversation. Begin to speak to yourself as someone you love. Speak as the person you want to become. Declare, I am confident, I am free, I am guided, until these words become your second nature. And when they do, watch how your world begins to shift. The people, the opportunities, the peace you seek, they all begin to appear. Not because you chased them, but because your inner conversation aligned with them. The truth is simple but profound. Your life is your inner speech made visible. Choose your words with care, because whatever you say after I am, especially in silence, becomes your experience. Faith is not struggle. Faith is not grinding or pushing or proving. True faith is quiet. It is certain. It is alignment, not effort. You do not manifest what you force. You manifest what you become. And becoming begins with assumption. When you align yourself with the end, with a feeling that it is already done, you step into the flow of life rather than fight against it. People often believe that if they work hard enough, strive long enough, and sacrifice more than anyone else, then finally the universe will reward them. But this belief traps them in a loop of endless striving. It reinforces the idea that they are separate from what they want. They keep saying, one day I will have it, not realizing that this very statement postpones the manifestation. Faith does not say, it is coming. Faith says, it is here. Faith feels the result now, and in doing so, collapses time. You do not receive according to what you want. You receive according to what you are in harmony with. And harmony happens through inner alignment. The outer world only mirrors the inner state. If your heart and mind are aligned with abundance, abundance must show up. If your inner being is steeped in peace, the outer world becomes peaceful. The opposite is also true. If you carry the vibration of worry, you will attract more to worry about. If you continually feel lack, more lack will come. The universe is not punishing you, it is simply reflecting you. Faith is not begging. Faith does not whimper or plead. It does not knock at the door of reality hoping to be let in. Faith stands at the door and says, I am already inside. It is the assumption of the wish fulfilled. It is a calm knowing that what you have seen within will surely come to pass. Not by your might, not by your effort, but by your belief. When you assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled, you enter the state of creation. You bypass the doubt. You silence the questioning. You begin to feel and live from the end. If you want love, feel loved. If you want success, feel successful. You are not pretending, you are assuming. An assumption is the bridge between the invisible and the visible. The effort you once poured into trying, striving, and controlling must now be poured into imagining, feeling, and aligning. Not forcefully, but naturally. As a tree grows toward the light, you grow toward your vision. There is no strain in it. Only trust. Let that be your focus. Not the doing, but the being. Ask yourself, who would I be if it were already done? How would I think, feel, and walk through life? Then move in that direction. Let your inner world reflect that version of you, and your outer world must follow. For faith is not about pushing, it is about becoming. It is not about trying harder, it is about knowing deeper. And once you know, once you feel it in your core, it is done, whether the world sees it yet or not. The universe is not responding to your words. It is not reacting to your desperate prayers, your long wish lists, or your carefully crafted affirmations. unless they are aligned with your true inner state. It responds only and always to your identity, who you are conscious of being. This is the great secret. Your world is your mirror, and it reflects not what you ask for, but who you are being at the deepest level of awareness. You can say, I want to be wealthy, but if your inner talk says, I'm always behind, or I never have enough, then that is what the universe echoes. You can declare, I want to be loved, but if you constantly feel unworthy or invisible, then that is the signal you're putting out, and the signal that comes back. The law is impersonal. It does not care whether your desires are good or bad, small or large. It simply reflects your state of being. You receive what you are in harmony with, and that harmony is determined by your self-concept, your identity. Most people try to change their world by efforting in the external. They chase after money, relationships, or success, thinking that once they attain these things, they will finally feel secure or happy. But this is moving backward. The outside does not fix the inside. It is the inner man, the inner woman that must shift. When you become someone who feels wealthy within, when you assume the identity of someone who is worthy of love, when you carry the sense of a peaceful, confident being, then and only then does the world begin to rearrange itself to reflect that version of you. Your identity is not just how you see yourself, it's how you feel yourself to be. This feeling is what moves the invisible into form. It is your inner conviction that determines the outer condition. You can look at every area of your life, your health, your relationships, your finances, and trace it back to a belief about yourself that you've held long enough to solidify into reality. That belief might have been formed in childhood. It might have been picked up from the opinions of others, or it might be one you unconsciously repeat every day. But wherever it came from, it can be changed. And when the identity changes, the world must follow. Do not try to manipulate the outer world. Do not concern yourself with the how or the when. That is not your role. Your only work is to assume the identity of the one who already has it. Live from that place. Speak from that place. Walk and breathe and think from that place. You must become it within before you can see it without. This is not about pretending. It is not about faking confidence or putting on a mask. It is about choosing to feel as though it is already true and allowing that feeling to settle in your being as reality. Imagine you are wearing the clothing of the person you wish to be. How will that feel? How will that affect your posture, your tone, your thoughts? Step into that version of yourself and stay there. Not for a moment, but consistently, gently, patiently. Keep returning to that identity every time doubt tries to pull you back. Because identity is not a single thought. It is a dwelling place. The truth is this: you do not attract what you want, you attract what you are. If you want a different life, do not chase it, embody it. Speak, act, and feel as the person who already lived that life. When the inner man aligns with the vision, the outer world has no choice but to reflect it. Everything begins with who you are conscious of being. Change that and everything changes. There is no power in the past. There is no authority in the future. All power resides in the present consciousness. Right now, in this breath, in this sacred instant, the moment you declare I am, you are not speaking about what you hope to be tomorrow or what you regret from yesterday. You are affirming your being in this precise now, and that is where transformation happens. You are never powerless in the present moment. You are never without the ability to choose again. Whatever the past has been, whatever mistakes you believe you've made, none of that has the strength to define you unless you bring it into the now and give it life through memory. The moment you drop it and become fully present, you begin again. Creation begins again. You step into the center of all that is possible. because the present moment is not bound by what was. It is free and it is fertile. This is why I am is the most powerful statement you can make. It is not just two words. It is a declaration of creative authority. When you say I am, you summon the divine essence within you. You awaken the spark of the infinite. And in doing so, you become a conscious creator, not a victim of circumstances or time. You are not reporting a fact. You are issuing a command. You are shaping identity. You are forming the mold that life will pour itself into. And that identity takes shape in this moment, not in your dreams of a distant someday. So many people live in a haze of one day. One day I'll feel confident. One day I'll be successful. One day I'll be happy. But the trap of one day delays transformation. The universe does not respond to I will be, it responds to I am. Because only the present moment is real, the rest is memory or imagination, and those are only useful when you bring them into alignment with what you are choosing now. The power of now lies in your awareness. The more aware you become of your state in this moment, of what you are thinking, feeling, assuming, the more influence you have over what you are creating. If you are unconscious in the present, you are sleepwalking through life, reacting to shadows of the past or fears of the future. But if you are awake, if you are fully here, you can change direction instantly. You can shift states. You can decide I am no longer this and choose again. When you say I am, ask yourself, what am I attaching to this sacred phrase? Am I saying I am tired, I am poor, I am unlucky? Or am I choosing I am whole, I am worthy, I am becoming? Whatever follows I am is not just a description, it is an invitation. It is the seed of manifestation, and it is always planted in the soil of the present. You cannot say I am yesterday, you cannot say I am tomorrow. You can only declare it now, and that declaration shapes your consciousness. And your consciousness shapes your world. This is why awareness of the present is not a spiritual luxury, it is the foundation of power. When you live in the now, you break the chains of habit. You stop carrying the burden of old assumptions. You no longer defer your dreams to the distant future. You realize that you are the dreamer and the dream, and that the canvas of creation is right here. If you want to change your life, come back to now. Sit with it. Own it. Feel the truth that right now you are the author, not tomorrow, not when everything lines up, but here, with what you have, with what you are willing to feel and embody. I am is not just a phrase, it is the door. And when you step through that door with awareness, the entire universe meets you there. Not because it suddenly favors you, but because you finally remembered where the power has always been. Within you, in this moment, in the living now. Imagination is not a child's plaything. It is not mere fantasy or escapism. Imagination is the portal to manifestation. It is the invisible workshop where all visible things are first shaped. Every structure, every invention, every transformation you see in the outer world began in someone's imagination, held long enough, felt deeply enough, and believed strongly enough to crystallize into form. This is the great mystery revealed. What you vividly imagine and accept as true must eventually appear. Words alone do not create. Words filled with doubt, spoken from a state of fear or lack, carry no power. But when you say the right words with conviction, words that align with the image you hold in your mind and the feeling you accept in your body, then unseen forces move immediately. You are not asking for something to happen someday. You are impressing upon the creative field the structure of what already is, building it in consciousness. And the universe, obedient as always, reflects it. The imagination is the eye of God within you. It is the divine faculty by which you see beyond what is and glimpse what can be. And not just glimpse it, enter it, live in it, embody it. When you imagine something vividly, and do so from the end, not as a wish, but as though it has already occurred, you shift your state of being. You stop looking at the desire as something outside of you, and instead become the one who already possesses it. That shift is the secret key. For once your state changes, reality has no choice but to conform. Imagination is not passive. It is not daydreaming. It is creation. It is choice. You must choose the image you will hold. You must choose to persist in it even when the outer world shows nothing yet. Especially then. Because what is seen is always the echo, not the cause. The cause is your internal state. Picture yourself living in the outcome you desire, not hoping for it, not waiting, living in it. Feel the scene around you. Hear the sounds, smell the air, see the light in that new reality. What does your posture feel like there? How does your heart respond? Let it be real to you. Not someday, but now. This is how you bridge the unseen and the seen. You let the imagined experience become more real than your current circumstances. And as you do, something begins to move. The world reshapes itself to reflect what you have dared to claim inwardly. This is not magic, it is law. Every time you vividly imagine and feel something to be true, you are planting a seed in consciousness. And like any seed, it will grow, not because you force it, but because you trust it. You water it with repetition. You nourish it with belief. You protect it by refusing to contradict it with fear or doubt. And then you wait, not in anxiety, but in confidence, knowing that what you imagine with faith is already yours, even if the evidence has not yet arrived. Do not misuse imagination by rehearsing worst-case scenarios or repeating mental images of failure and lack. What you imagine, you magnetize. The law does not distinguish between good or bad, wanted or unwanted. It only responds to what you vividly believe. So discipline your imagination, turn it to your ally, make it the sacred space where your future is crafted with care and trust. The greatest secret is this: when you align your words, imagination, and feeling, reality bends. It must. The outer world is clay in the hands of your inner vision. So imagine well, imagine boldly, imagine lovingly, and do so as though it were already done, because in the realm of consciousness it is. And what is real there will soon be real here. Imagination is not preparation, it is creation. Use it wisely, and you will see that unseen forces do not delay. They respond in kind, instantly and faithfully, to the world you dared to see within. So now you understand. Your words, your assumptions, your inner conversations, your identity, your present awareness and your imagination are not just abstract ideas, they are the very tools of creation. They shape your world not someday, but now. The two words I am are sacred keys, and what you attach to them becomes your lived experience. The universe is not working against you. It is waiting for your clarity, your conviction, your inner alignment. Once you stop trying so hard and start being, everything changes. You don't chase, what yours begins to seek you. You don't beg, you assume. You don't worry, you trust. And that trust is the evidence of your faith, the sign that you are no longer a servant to circumstance, but the conscious creator of your reality. Everything responds to who you are in consciousness. You don't get what you want, you get what you are. And the moment you declare fully and faithfully, I am, you set the entire universe in motion to reflect your inner state. Let this be the moment you choose boldly, speak deliberately, and imagine vividly. You are not here to struggle. You are here to remember who you are. Thank you for listening. Thank you for being present. And most of all, thank you for daring to believe. There was a time I lived by sight, by reason, by evidence. I waited for things to change out there. But I learned the hard truth. Nothing changes on the outside until it changes within. I didn't stumble into this life by luck. I manifested this for my life. I chose it in silence, in solitude, in moments when the world saw nothing happening. But something was happening. I was creating. You must understand, the life you see around you is nothing more than a reflection of what you have accepted as true within. Not what you wish, not what you beg for, but what you accept deeply as already yours. When I closed my eyes, I saw it, not as a dream, but as a fact. I felt the joy, the relief, the calm assurance that what I desired had already come to pass. And though my senses screamed otherwise, I did not waver. I remained faithful to the unseen. Every morning I returned to that inner world, not to chase, not to fix, but to dwell. I lived from the end. I spoke, walked, and thought as if it was already done, because in truth, it was. What I now live, I once imagined. What surrounds me, I once assumed. What was once only felt within now stands before me. Not by effort, but by alignment. Not by hustle, but by surrender to inner knowing. And I tell you this, the moment you dare to feel yourself into a new state of being, the world begins to rearrange itself silently, faithfully, to match it. You won't always see it, but the bridge of incidents will carry you there. Left the old story behind. I stopped repeating what was. I stopped explaining my struggle. I began to speak life into my vision. I revised, I released, I became. And now I say, with no hesitation, I manifested this for my life, and so can you. Not tomorrow, not someday, but the moment you believe it to be true. Within. The world is waiting for you to remember who you are. Everything begins in the mind. Not in the physical world, not in circumstance, not in what others tell you is possible. The outer world is merely the echo of your inner assumptions. What you accept as true in your imagination, you give permission to become real in your world. Most people live their lives reacting to what they see. They adjust their emotions based on the news, their bank account, or the way others treat them. But the one who awakens understands. Reality does not create imagination, it is imagination that creates reality. If you imagine something and accept it as real, not just as a fleeting thought, but as a living feeling, it begins to form in the unseen. It begins to gather strength, momentum, and shape. What is held in consciousness must one day be clothed in fact. That's the law. So many say, I'll believe it when I see it, but that is backwards. You will see it when you believe it. When you make the imaginal act more real to you than the physical circumstance, you begin to command reality rather than obey it. Imagination is not just daydreaming, it is the very workshop of creation. It is your direct link to the unseen forces that shape experience. The chair you sit on, the house you live in, the clothes you wear, none of it came from thin air. Someone imagined it. Someone saw it before it was. They held that vision and acted as if it were true, and now it stands before you as a fact. But the same applies to your life. The love you desire, the wealth you crave, the healing, the freedom, the peace of mind, all of it must first be accepted in the inner world. If you argue for your limitations, you only reinforce them. But if you dare to imagine the life you want and feel its reality, without needing proof, you give it permission to bloom in time. The great error is waiting for change before changing your inner dialogue. But nothing changes until you do. Reality is not outside in, it is inside out. So ask yourself, what am I imagining throughout the day? What stories am I repeating? What assumptions do I return to when I'm alone with my thoughts? Because that is your true prayer. Not the words you speak with your mouth, but the quiet beliefs you affirm in secret. If you keep imagining that people don't respect you, that money is hard to earn, that love never works out for you, then you're planting those seeds. And every seed bears fruit after its own kind. But what if, today, you planted something new? What if you imagined being loved, chosen, valued, prosperous, not as wishful thinking, but as a present reality? What if you made the feeling of already having it more familiar than the feeling of lack? In doing so, you would change your vibration. You would begin to act, speak, and walk differently, not out of pretense, but out of alignment. You would live from the end, and the world would mirror it. You were never meant to live at the mercy of circumstance. You are not here to react. You are here to create. And the power to create lies not in effort, but in belief, in imagination, in the unseen realm that governs all seen things. So choose wisely what you entertain in your inner world, for what you accept as true there, no matter how impossible it may seem, will one day appear in your outer world, just as faithfully as the sun rises. You are always imagining. The only question is, are you doing it consciously? Because the moment you take hold of this truth and begin to imagine deliberately, your life will no longer be a series of random events. It will be a masterpiece, crafted by you, authored by you, and born from the still, quiet knowing that imagination truly does create reality. Desire alone is not enough. Hope alone is not enough. You can want something deeply, wish for it sincerely, and still never experience it. Because the secret is not in the wanting, but in the feeling that it is already done. The key lies in assuming the feeling of the wish fulfilled. To assume means to take something on as true, to occupy it, to dwell in it as though it were already a fact. You do not wait for confirmation. You do not ask if it is possible. You do not look to others for permission. You go straight to the end and feel from it as if it were already so. This is the great shift. From longing to having. From lack to fulfillment. The moment you feel that you already have what you desire, something within you changes. The energy you carry, the words you speak, the actions you take, they all begin to flow from a different place. You are no longer grasping, you are no longer searching, you are simply being. The feeling of the wish fulfilled is subtle yet powerful. It doesn't require you to tell the world what you're manifesting. It doesn't demand you to fight for anything. It only asks you to close your eyes, enter the silence, and rest in the knowing that what you desire is already yours in consciousness. And what is accepted in consciousness must be expressed in form. When you assume this inner state, you begin to impress it upon the deeper layers of your mind. And the mind, once impressed, brings forth that impression as reality. You begin to notice opportunities, coincidences, and shifts that align with the thing you felt into existence. This is not magic, it is law. But many fail because they continue to feel from the absence of their desire. They pray for change but then return to the vibration of lack. They imagine their wish but feel it as something distant, uncertain, out of reach. That feeling of separation is the very thing keeping it away. To assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled, you must become it. Not act as if, not pretend, but allow your mind and body to accept it as done. What does it feel like to have the relationship, to be financially free, to be healed, to walk in peace? You must feel that now, not someday, not after the fact, but now. This feeling is not something to be forced. It is something you allow. You enter your imagination and craft a simple scene that would imply your wish is fulfilled. Perhaps a conversation, a moment, a gesture. And you replay it gently, lovingly, until it feels natural, until it feels true, until the emotion of fulfillment washes over you and you no longer need anything outside to validate it. When you feel it as done, you release the need to make it happen. You're no longer a beggar before life. You are a creator, seated in certainty, watching the world rise to meet your inner conviction. Do not concern yourself with the how. The how is not your work. The how belongs to the unseen forces that respond to your inner state. Your only task is to sustain the feeling, to carry it like a secret treasure, to return to it when doubt whispers. And in time, the outer world will echo what you have dared to feel within. All things come from within. That which you accept and feel as true, consistently, faithfully, with quiet confidence, must come to pass. You are not waiting for life to deliver your desire. Life is waiting for you to assume that it is already here. So today, drop the wish, drop the hope, and step boldly into the state of fulfillment. Feel it now, rest in it, live from it, and you will watch the world reshape itself around the new truth you carry in your heart. To live from the end means to walk, talk, think, and feel as though your desire is already fulfilled. It is not about wishing or wanting, for those states imply separation. It is about moving into the consciousness of already being the person who has, who is, who does the thing you once only dreamed of. It is a quiet inner knowing, a deep acceptance that what you seek is already yours. The moment you live from the end, you remove the question of how. The how belongs to the old self, the doubting self, the striving self, the self that does not yet believe. But when you shift into the feeling of the wish fulfilled, you no longer need to figure anything out. You have already received it in your inner world. And because the inner world is the only cause of the outer, it must unfold. Living from the end is not mere visualization, it is identification. You do not look at your desire from afar. You step into it, occupy it, breathe it. You feel its reality so naturally, so completely, that the external world begins to conform. Reality must mirror the state you consistently embody. This is where most people fall short. They return to the state of waiting for proof, for signs, for validation. But the one who lives from the end does not wait. They know. They walk through life with quiet confidence, not because they see evidence, but because they have felt the reality within and trusted it enough to rest in it. There is great power in this kind of faith. Not a blind faith, but an active faith. A faith that chooses the end and clings to it no matter what the world appears to show. For the world is only the past made visible. Your current circumstances are not your truth. They are the residue of former thoughts, former feelings. They are echoes, shadows, but when you live from the end, you plant a new seed, and the old must give way. Think of a person who is in love. They do not need to be told they are loved. They feel it in every part of their being. It colors how they move, how they speak, how they respond to life. The same applies when you live from the end of abundance, healing, success, or peace. You radiate a different vibration. You become magnetized to the people, events, and circumstances that reflect your inner assumption. You may be tempted to ask how it will happen. But the how is not your concern. The path is already laid the moment you assume the end. Your work is to remain faithful to the state. Whenever doubt arises, you return to it. Whenever fear speaks, you quiet it with the feeling of fulfillment. You don't need to force or control anything. You simply persist in the assumption that it is done. This is not pretending. This is truth at a higher level. You are not creating a fantasy. You are selecting a reality. And the moment you select it with conviction, it begins to crystallize. The more you persist, the faster it forms. Living from the end is freedom. It is release from anxiety, from need, from struggle. You no longer try to make things happen, you allow them. You become receptive. You become aligned. And alignment is far more powerful than effort. So take your desire and imagine the scene that implies it is fulfilled. Step into that scene with feeling, with sincerity. Let it become so real to you that it feels like memory. And then carry that feeling into your daily life. Let it inform your choices, your tone, your posture, your thoughts. The world does not change because you beg it to. It changes when you change the place you live from within. Persistence is not mere effort. It is the quiet, unwavering devotion to the unseen. When you persist in the assumption of your desire already fulfilled, you weave invisible threads between the world within and the world without. These threads, though unseen, are real, and in time, they pull the scene into form. There is a law that governs manifestation, and it honors repetition over spectacle. A single moment of belief can spark change, but it is persistent belief, faith repeated, felt again and again, that builds the bridge from desire to realization. Every time you return to the inner scene, every time you feel your wish fulfilled, even when the world contradicts it, you strengthen that bridge. It becomes less a dream and more a certainty. And soon, the outer must reflect what the inner has sustained. Too often, people give up before the bridge completes. They look around, see no evidence, and conclude it is not working. But the bridge is not always visible. It may look like a delay, a detour, even a breakdown. But everything is moving in harmony with your inner state. The unseen responds to your faith, not your frustration. If you persist, even when it feels slow or silent, the desired end must come. Repetition is not boredom, it is creation. When you repeat the feeling of already having what you want, you carve a deeper groove into consciousness. You reprogram your responses, shift your vibration, and reorient your attention. That repeated focus acts as a signal, a call to the universe, and the universe answers not by logic, but by resonance. Faith is what holds that repetition together. Faith is the thread that makes the invisible bridge strong. And faith is not passive. It is the active decision to believe in what is not yet seen, to believe in it more than the evidence of your senses, to say it is done and mean it even when all signs say otherwise. The moment you decide that your desire is real in consciousness, it becomes law. Not because of some external permission, but because consciousness creates. What you continue to accept as true within will harden into fact without. The bridge of incidents will rise up to lead you there, often through the most unexpected means, but it will always arrive. Persistence does not mean straining. It is not about willpower or desperate effort. It is quiet, it is calm, it is knowing. Like the turning of the tide or the blooming of spring, it moves according to rhythm. Your job is not to rush it. Your job is to remain faithful to the end you have chosen. Think of the farmer who plants a seed. He does not dig it up every day to see if it is growing. He waters it, he protects it, he allows the invisible forces of life to do their work beneath the soil. Your desires are no different. They must root in your consciousness before they rise in your world. Each time you return to the feeling of your wish fulfilled, you water the seed. Each time you ignore appearances and rest in the inner conviction, you protect it. And over time, by persistence, not pressure, the bridge is built. There will come a day when you look back and realize it arrived not all at once, but piece by piece. A phone call here, a sudden opportunity there, a change of mood, a shift in someone's behavior, and you'll see that every moment of faith was part of the unfolding. Every repetition laid another stone on the bridge. So do not concern yourself with signs. Do not watch the clock. Simply persist. Return again and again to the truth of your fulfilled desire. Let it be your inner home, your emotional dwelling place. And the world, obedient and faithful, will carry you across the bridge to its reflection. To step into a new reality, you must be willing to let go of the old one. You cannot carry the past with you into the future you desire. Every belief, every identity, every memory that no longer serves you must be dropped, not with bitterness, but with awareness. The story you've been telling about who you are, what's possible for you, and what has happened to you is not the truth. It is only a repetition. And like all stories, it can be rewritten. We are not bound by our past unless we choose to be. The past has no power unless you continue to breathe life into it. When you speak of how things have always been, or define yourself by your trauma, your failure, your limitations, you prolong them. You recreate the same patterns under different disguises. It may seem familiar, even comforting, to retell the story, but every time you do, you affirm it as your reality, and reality responds accordingly. Dropping the old story is not denial, it is conscious revision. You do not pretend the pain didn't happen, but you do not let it dictate your future. You revise it in your imagination, seeing yourself not as the victim of life, but as the one who chose to grow through it. You rewrite your self-concept, casting yourself not as someone who is broken or stuck, but as someone who is powerful, capable, and worthy of all you desire. The process begins with awareness. Notice the stories you habitually tell yourself. I always get abandoned. Things never work out for me. I'm not good with money. These are not facts. They are interpretations. Narratives you've picked up along the way, perhaps from childhood, from society, or from repetition, but you are not obligated to keep them. The moment you see them for what they are, just stories, you regain your power to choose a new one. What would your life look like if you released those narratives? Who would you be without the constant replaying of what didn't work? Who hurt you, or how far you have to go? Can you imagine waking up tomorrow and feeling completely free from the weight of yesterday? That freedom is not fantasy. It's available now, in this moment, when you decide to stop identifying with the old story. To drop the old story, you must forgive, not for others, but for yourself. Forgiveness dissolves the emotional charge that keeps the past alive. It allows you to let go without resistance. And once you forgive, you can revise. See yourself as already healed. Imagine yourself successful, loved, peaceful, and whole. It may feel unfamiliar at first, even false, but that's only because the old story has been rehearsed so long. With persistence, the new state becomes natural. Imagination is the key. You cannot drop the old without replacing it with something greater. You must move into the version of yourself that already lives the life you desire. Feel their confidence, speak their words, adopt their energy, and do it not occasionally but consistently. The new story must be fed daily. This isn't about pretending. It's about aligning. Reality does not change by accident. It bends to your inner assumptions. When you assume a new identity, when you embody a new story, life reorganizes to match it. The people you meet, the chances you take, the ideas that come, all begin to flow in the direction of your new self. So today, make the decision. Let go of the version of you who struggled, who suffered, who settled. Bless them, thank them, and release them. They brought you here, but they are not who you are anymore. You are the author now, and your story is being written with every thought, every feeling, every assumption. Choose wisely. Choose with love. Choose with vision. And then let the old fall away, like a snake shedding its skin. No longer needed, no longer true. The world around you is not separate from you. It is a reflection, a mirror of your innermost convictions. Every event, every person, every condition that appears in your life is an outpicturing of what you accept as true within yourself. You may believe things are happening to you, but they are happening through you, out of the invisible patterns of your own consciousness. The outer world faithfully reflects the state you most consistently occupy. This mirror does not lie. It shows you not only what you consciously desire, but what you deeply assume. If you look at your life and see lack, struggle, or rejection, you must ask, what have I been entertaining in the silence of my own mind? What have I assumed about myself, about others, about what is possible for me? It is not punishment, it is revelation. Life is showing you your own reflection, and in doing so, giving you the opportunity to choose again. It is not enough to wish for a better world. You must inhabit the version of you who already lives in it. Trying to manipulate the outer while neglecting the inner is like trying to change your reflection in the mirror by adjusting the mirror itself. It will never work. True transformation begins within. You must first feel rich to attract wealth. You must feel love to attract love. You must feel powerful to see your circumstances bend in your favor. This is why belief is so essential. Not belief in something outside of you, but belief in the truth you desire to embody. If you want your world to reflect peace, then peace must first be felt within. If you long for freedom, you must cease identifying with limitation. Whatever you want to experience out there, plant the seed for it inside. Cultivate it, water it with repetition and feeling, and allow it to grow. There is no delay in manifestation except the delay in assumption. The moment you fully embody a new state of being, the mirror begins to shift. Sometimes subtly, sometimes dramatically, but always faithfully. The world adjusts to the tone you carry. That is the power of your inner state. It speaks to life more loudly than your words ever could. Many people look to their current circumstances as evidence of what is real. They say, but look, this is what is happening. And so they continue to create more of it. They don't realize they are using the mirror to decide what face to wear. But the wise turn inward. They understand the law. They assume the new feeling even in the face of the old image. And by doing so, they change the reflection. You must stop waiting for the outer world to give you permission to feel what you wish to feel. You must become the cause, not the effect. Every moment is an invitation to step into a new state. Do not wait until your bank account changes to feel abundant. Do not wait until someone chooses you to feel lovable. Do not wait until the world shifts to feel powerful. Decide now. Choose the state now. And let the mirror follow. There may be a delay in the physical expression, but the change begins the moment you change within. The mirror needs time to catch up, but it will. Trust the law. Trust the process. Trust yourself. And most importantly, remain faithful to your inner shift, even when the outer still echoes the past. This is mastery. To dwell in the end, to persist in the new story, to know that the world will soon catch the new reflection, and when it does, it will seem like a miracle. But it is not, it is law. Change the inner conviction and the outer world must follow. As within, so without. You are not a powerless observer of life, you are its creator. All that you see, touch, and experience springs from the secret places of your imagination and belief. The world is not against you, nor is it outside of you. It is you, reflected. When you assume the feeling of your wish fulfilled, lift from the end, persist in that unseen truth and release the stories of limitation, life begins to shape itself around your new identity. What once seemed like chance or fate becomes the natural result of a shift within. This is not magic, it is law. You manifested this for your life, not by effort, but by alignment. You believed it was yours, and so it had no choice but to appear. Your only true work is to remember who you are and embody that truth now, boldly, faithfully, and joyfully. Thank you. Thank you for allowing these words to enter your heart. May they remind you of the power you've always had to create, to transform, and to manifest the life you were born to live.